Hi again then guys, and welcome to another installment of Beards and Cars. This is, for those who are unfamiliar with the series, my podcast style layout where we talk about a variety of topics, countdowns, discussions, that kind of thing. And this one is sort of a Q&A in a way, because it's a question or questions that I get asked a lot on the channel. Two of the most common personal questions, in fact, and one is, what do I do for work? Because I've referenced the fact that I have a job apart from YouTube. I have discussed it more specifically in my Thank You for 2018 Roundup video, which I put a lot of time into, so if you haven't checked that one out, you should. It covered all the highlights of the year. And secondly, what do I drive? Do I have a car? Do I have a bike? What do I drive? Do I drive? Etc. And for my current situation, these two things, job and car, are actually very integrally linked, and that is the side of things that I haven't really got super into on the channel before. I've discussed it with some people, sometimes in comments, sometimes on Discord, but as an overarching video, I've never got into that before. Now, in some ways, it's going to seem weird, some of the stuff that I say in this video, especially for a petrol head, but it's more a situation of my circumstance, my location, unforeseen things that happened, unfortunate things that happened as far as work, etc, etc. But first of all, to touch on the job side of things, I did mention, as I said in that roundup video, that I do have a job apart from YouTube. I mean, of course I do. You cannot live on a 30k channel. It's a simple fact. Nobody can. So currently YouTube is just a nice bonus. It's mostly for the fun of it. There is some cash involved, certainly not enough to live on, but I hope to build it to that point eventually. Now, currently with the status of YouTube, smaller channels are getting demonetized seemingly randomly when they've done nothing wrong. Even channels up to 150,000 subscribers have been having this happen. So that's kind of worrying. In fact, it's very worrying. YouTube is going down the pan as far as I'm concerned, and it's a matter of time before something cataclysmic happens. So that's unfortunate. I will, of course, continue producing videos as long as I can, but if it ever does become just completely unviable, then that will be unfortunate. So YouTube basically needs to get their act together instead of trying to make a new YouTube Rewind that nobody cares for. Try actually, doing your job. But that's for another time. As far as the job goes, yes, I do have a job apart from YouTube. In fact, all of my previous jobs, apart from the one that I have now, have been part-time. Because long story short, I, as many of you know, am a fully qualified car mechanic, auto engineer, went to college for 3 years, which is what it takes in the UK to do that. And then I left college, or finished college when I was 19, and then unfortunately I spent the next 2 years mostly unemployed. I tried all kinds of jobs, not just garage. I tried cleaning, I tried warehouse work, I tried tons of different things, retail. Most of them wouldn't even answer me, and the ones that did only wanted part-time cover for like 2 or 3 months. So in those 2 or 3 years, the longest job I had was 3 months, and it was fine. Minimum wage. I was in my teens at the time, or early 20s, so it wasn't great. I was travelling 4 or 5 miles, cycling to various jobs, and some of the worst ones were like 2 days or 1 day. I would work at a particular job. I was a picker and packer in a warehouse. I did that for 2 days. It was horrendous. I was a dust cart loader, like a bin man, as we'd call them here in the UK. I did that for 1 day, because I've got to say that is easily the worst job I've ever had. Not because of the work. The work is actually fine. The awful part is the way the work is done. The management. It's a 0-hour contract, which I don't know if you guys have this in America, but in the UK, it basically means that you are a worker for the company, but they're not legally obliged to give you any work. You just show up, and if they don't need you, they say, no, we don't need you, go home. Never mind that you've cycled in at 5 o'clock in the morning, which means that you got up before 4 o'clock in the morning just to be told to cycle back. So 10 miles for nothing. That is not an ideal business policy. Or actually it is, but it's not an ideal employment policy. So yeah, forget that job. I did that for 1 day. I got left 10 miles away from where I was supposed to be. The business clearly didn't care, so I thought, well, if you don't care about me, I don't care about you. So I tried different jobs, finally got into a housekeeping job, did that for the past 2 years, and then recently I swapped over because that was part-time. The money wasn't great, but that combined with YouTube was good enough. And then recently I've moved into security. Now, security is the only full-time job I've ever had, mostly due to opportunity, as I said, and it's actually more than full-time. I work 4 days on, 4 days off, and the 4 days that I work on are 2-day shifts and then 2 night shifts. They are full 12-hour shifts, either from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So they're long days. Not long for security, that's like the average, but long days compared to what I'd done before. And having 4 days off every 4 days sounds really cool, except when you work on weekends, because of course it covers all weekends regardless of the time of year, and that's why in January, speaking to another question which I've got a lot on the channel, there has been no photo mode or livery competition. Because basically, if I'm working as a guard on that given weekend, I don't have the time. It's as simple as that to do a video. Either I'm going to be home at 6 o'clock at night, by which point I'm not doing 2 videos, and the other option is it's a night shift, and then I have a couple of hours between sleeping from the day before and leaving. So again, don't have the time, especially when the livery and photo mode competitions actually take longer than most of the other videos that I do, because although the video itself is only a couple of minutes long, I have to sift through dozens of emails, then get dozens of entrants, put all of the URL addresses, all of the gamer tags, all of the photos, edit it all together, add music, upload it, find out that the music is copyrighted, try again, multiple times, blah blah blah. So you're talking at least 2 to 3 hours to do a photo mode and to do a livery. So you're talking 5 to 6 hours to do those 2 videos. And they're only a couple of minutes long each, which is one of the reasons why I prefer doing stuff like tunes and reviews, because they take far less time. Now when I say less time, they still take a minimum of an hour to an hour and a half, even a 4-minute tune, because of the time it takes to upload, to edit, to render the video, all that kind of stuff. So I produce 14 videos a week across 2 channels. 1 video on my movie channel, SHM, and 13 videos minimum, usually on this channel. So that kind of time is at least 14 hours a week. It's actually more like 21 hours a week minimum, because stuff like this, Beards and Cars, takes longer. Stuff like the photo mode, the livery takes longer. So the reality is it's easily 21 hours a week, usually more. Especially when you factor in the time it takes to conceptualize videos, to record the footage, to drive the cars, to have the replay, all that kind of stuff. Then at work, I work 192 hours a month in security. So that's about 48 hours a week. 48 hours plus the 21 hours from YouTube. And now you probably understand why when people ask me, oh, could you do the video and actually convert it from millimeters to inches for me? Could you convert it from miles per hour to kilometers? No, I can't do that, because you could go to Google and do that very easily yourself. Whereas for me to do that, I have to record an entire new section of the game, go to the options menu, change the settings, come back, record it again, upload it, render it, finalize it. That's a lot of extra time for something that you can just Google. So no, I will not be doing that. Especially over the course of the long week that I just said I have every week. Now, I'm not saying that I cannot keep up production on videos. I've been doing this security work for a couple of months now. It's far better than the previous job, because although the previous one had more free time, I like the fact that the work that I do now is condensed into 4 days, because it's long days, but it's 4 days. So those 4 days off allow me to produce the videos for that day and ahead of time for work. So in other words, I don't really have any days off, because every day I'm either working in security or on YouTube. So that's the work situation for me. As far as the job, or as far as the car I should say, or bike, that is why I said it factors in, because after college I simply didn't have the money. When I was in college I didn't have the money because I didn't have a part-time job as well. I was doing 3 days a week at college, and let's be honest, no company wants to employ a kid for 2 days a week. So I didn't have a job in college. After college I couldn't find work for 2 years. When I finally found a job, it was minimal wage anyway. So I decided that instead of just trying to aimlessly scramble to get any car I could just for the sake of being on the road, which is what a number of the kids I grew up with did, I decided, you know what? I don't absolutely need a car right now. I can cycle, or I can walk, or I can get the bus, and I'm willing to do that if it means that I can just wait a bit longer and save up and actually have a first car that I'm proud of. Not something ridiculously expensive, but something that I actually like, and that I don't just want to rag until it's broken or smash into a tree or just buy the new thing as quickly as possible. And that's what I decided to do, and currently the security job, more than any of the previous ones, is definitely going to allow me to do that. So the short answer is I don't drive, which sounds really weird for a channel who is a mechanic, who does a car channel, and who has always loved cars. Doesn't drive, which sounds super weird, but that's just the way it is. I don't regret that. I don't find it awkward. I don't find it weird. I don't get embarrassed about it. It's a choice. I could have been on the road previously, but it would have been in some car that I didn't particularly like. So I decided to wait. So my current plan is I want to get my car and motorbike license back to back, if possible, within the next couple of months. And if those both go according to plan, I'm then going to just save for a couple of months more, get the car that I want as my first vehicle. The fact that I'm now 25 makes a massive difference to insurance. And I know some of you who are younger especially probably think even that being 25 and not having a car, how's that even possible? It's possible. Trust me, I've done just fine without one. So I plan to get the car. Some of you already know the car that I want. We've discussed it on the Discord server. It's gone back and forth between a couple depending on used prices and insurance prices, but when I get the car, I then want to wait a couple of months and get a bike. I already have the motorbike in mind that I want. I plan to do my full advanced motorbike test, so you can ride whatever size bike you want as your first one, especially now that I'm 25. So yeah, that's the current plan. I will be doing videos when I get the vehicle, when I get the bike, that kind of stuff anyway, so you'll know it when I get it. But yeah, that's the current situation. It's kind of a situation that doesn't make sense to many people who think, well, you're a petrol head, so why would you not have a car or a bike already? Well, those are the reasons. Didn't need one, couldn't afford one that was as nice as I wanted. As I said, I don't want to be spending like 20-30 grand on a first car. I have realistic expectations, but you would be surprised what you can get when you're a little bit older and when you're willing to think outside the box. Because there are certain vehicles that even for a younger person you will find you can insure for significantly less than you think, purely because young people don't buy that particular car. If, for instance, a car is recognised as being more of a middle-aged family man's car, rather than a boy racer's, Citroen Saxo or Peugeot 106, you'll sometimes find that a car with twice the engine size could be half as much to insure, because insurance companies factor in the history of the car across the country, and if something has a lot of red flags coming up, it's going to be worse. If, however, something is known for being, a midlife crisis minivan, or an SUV, or a wagon, or a sedan, then chances are it's going to be cheaper than you think. You just have to look harder, and that's exactly what I've done. I found the vehicle that I want. Hopefully the used prices will hold, because one that I had in mind, which I'm probably not going to get now, was a Volkswagen Touareg, the V10 TDI twin turbo, because you can buy them dirt cheap. The insurance is surprisingly good for the reasons that I just said, but the prices are starting to go up, so I'm not really going to keep that one on the table, especially because if they do go wrong, they cost a bomb. I mean, you can easily pay as much to repair a Touareg as you paid to buy it in the first place. Apparently, if the timing chain breaks on a Touareg V10, it costs you about 3 to 4 grand to get a new one. That's not ideal when the car itself costs 4 grand to buy. Because yes, believe it or not, you can buy a Touareg V10 for 4 grand, at least here in the UK. 315 horsepower, 5 litre twin turbo V10 with 650 foot-pounds of torque. Or actually, no, that's the higher model. I should say about 560 pound-feet of torque, which still isn't exactly lacking. But that option's kind of off the table now. I have in mind, like I said, what I want, but that's basically the rundown. My current job, my current vehicle situation, the plans I have for the future, and why sometimes certain videos don't come up on the channel. I cannot do photo mode and livery competitions ahead of time. It's as simple as that. And they take a long time to do. So yes, they are coming back, probably in February, because my 4-day on, 4-day off schedule is rolling off of weekends again, so that frees them up. And yeah, that's the current plan, that's my situation. It was a question, or questions that I get asked a lot, so I hope that's cleared it up. So of course, I'll see you next week, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.